I'm going to go over some settings teachers should be aware of in order to hold a secure meeting and not worry about getting hacked or students doing inappropriate things, or even people who are not students doing inappropriate things. So here I have an open meeting. I'm in the meeting currently. So on the participants list here, on the bottom right, there's these three dots. So I'm going to click on that real quick. And here's where you're going to find the mute participants upon entry. You for sure want to have that enabled so that participants, when they come in, already have their mic muted. Allow participants to unmute themselves. That one is very important. I would recommend starting with that off so that they cannot unmute themselves unless you allow them to. And you can simply ask your students to raise their hand if they want to say something, and you'll unmute them once you confirm who they are and or that you even want them to talk. Allow participants to rename themselves. I would recommend removing that so that students can only use the name they come in with and can't start changing the name on you. So for example, a student can come in with the name of one of your students so that you allow them in, but once you allow them in, they may change their name so that if they do something inappropriate, you won't know who they are anymore, or so that they can disguise themselves as they come in. That's about it, other than enabling waiting room. It's good to have a waiting room because that way, before you let them in, you can at least confirm that the name that you are seeing displayed is correct. And I say the name being displayed because just because the name is being displayed doesn't mean that's their actual name, which is why it's important that students show their face at least at the beginning of class so that we can see exactly who they are. The next thing that you want to look at is the chat options. So if you don't see the chat box here, then you can click on the chat box here, and here you want to change the chat options so that host only. So that means they can only chat with you and not with each other, and not freely. If you have it open publicly, that means that anything they type, or they have the option to type to everyone in the group at the same time. And again, if you're worried about security things, they can type inappropriate things there. So I would leave this as host only. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the sharing your screen. So the first thing you want to make sure here is advanced sharing. You want to make sure that it's not under all participants. If this is under all participants, that means that they can share whenever they want as long as you're not sharing. So you want to keep that as host only. The next thing that you need to know is if you're sharing your screen, I'm going to share just a random screen here. Unless you change your annotation setting, it'll automatically be set so that students can write on your screen. And this is very dangerous because they will do really inappropriate things that you may or may not agree with. So what you want to do is to change the settings so that others cannot. So here it says enable annotation for others. So it looks like it's already off, and you have to enable it here. So that's different from last year. So here you want to make sure you disable annotations. That way they can't draw over your screen while you're working. The last thing I wanted to share here was under the settings. There's a few settings that you should be aware of, and I had it ready, but apparently I don't. Here it is. So allowing participants to rename themselves, you can change that here as well as in the meeting. Allow remove participants to rejoin. So if you kick a student out for whatever reason, whether it be an accident or on purpose, unless this is enabled, they will not be able to come back to the meeting. Last is hide participant profile picture. So until you know exactly who they are, I would keep this on so that they don't have an inappropriate profile picture and come in with that by accident or on purpose. And then finally, if you are in the middle of some type of inappropriate activity and you want to just cancel the meeting, or you want to just shut it down because you don't know what to do, here's what you need to be careful of. So on the top right here, I'm going to close out. If you hit leave meeting, what's going to happen is you're going to leave the meeting, but one of the students will become the host, and that meeting will continue. And this happened to a teacher I know out of a neighboring district, where he left the meeting. This is high school, and it got very inappropriate when he was gone. And it's because he didn't know, and a lot of us didn't know last year, that you have to end meeting for all. So that's the button you want to hit. So if worst case scenario, you're being hacked, you're being bombed, it's getting inappropriate, just hit the X and then end meeting for all, and that should terminate whatever's going on for everyone. And then we'll kind of go from there.